So welcome to this evening's Professional Development Pillar Strategic Plan Town Hall. I'm Jessica Haxey, and I'm the president of ACTFL for 2021. It has flown by, and I'm thrilled to be with you for our final out of 5 strategic plan town halls. Can you take a second in that pollev.com and show us where you are? Just push the little thing and it should show us right where you are. Say, uh-oh, I have a feeling it's not working right. Give me 10 seconds. Oh no, it's there. Sorry, I just had you covered with my people thing. Oh, everyone's in the, oh good, we do have some people not in the US. Is that in China? Wonderful. Oh my goodness. Wow, and then it looks like we have quite a few people on the East Coast and in the sort of the North and the Midwest a little bit. And then we have someone in Mexico. I believe that's our own Maria Cristina Ladas from the board. And we have some people on the West Coast and someone right here. What is that? Maybe Arizona, Mexico. Awesome. It is so exciting to see how broad our reach is as ACTFL. Thanks so much for that. And now let's see what your roles are. So what do you do during the day? Are you a K-12 educator, higher ed educator, K-12 student, undergrad, grad student, consultant or company representative, nonprofit representative, or other? Let's see. When I retire, do I get to say other? That's going to be fun. Wow, great. Well, I love to see that we have look at this even mix of K through 12 and higher ed. That's going to make for very rich discussions, I think, in our breakout rooms this evening. And we also have people, consultants and people from the nonprofit world. That's just great. Thanks so much for participating so that we can see that. Oh, I always do this when we're in this. Somehow I think I put this line here. I apologize, everyone. Facilitators tonight are those who are here because they had an expressed interest in professional development and they serve on our professional development committee, or we reached out to them because they have done particular professional development work that we wanted to highlight this evening. So these are our facilitators that you'll be seeing in your breakout rooms, and they'll also be doing some presenting tonight. And we're really grateful to them for being here. And they also participated in a planning meeting that we had for an hour and a half or so a few weeks ago. So everyone, as you know, on these committees and whatnot are volunteers. So we really are grateful to them for being here. Thank you all. In addition, you have your ACTFL board members, a number of whom are here this evening. And I'm excited that Victoria Russell, your president-elect, who will be your president for next year, she's here this evening, and she'll be talking to you about one of her passion projects at ACTFL. And also Bridget Yaden, past president, will be joining us in a little bit as well as my fabulous colleagues on the board. We also have a number of ACTFL staff here tonight. So I'd like to introduce Howie Berman, our executive director, who's gonna introduce the staff members who are here.
Thanks, Jessica. Hi, everyone. As Jessica said, I'm Howie Berman. I'm the executive director of ACTFL, and I am really excited because we have a great group of staff that are joining us tonight. And just so you know, this is just a sample of our great staff, but I did want to give a shout out to everyone who's here. So you're joined tonight by Meg Malone, who's our Director of Assessment and Research, Jamie Kravantka, my executive assistant, who is invaluable in putting together all of these events. So thank you to Jamie. Monique Ennis, who is our Director of Human Resources, Julia Richardson, who's our Director of Convention and Events, Ainsley Delisant, who's our Workshops Coordinator, Celia Chamon Zamora, who is our Director of Professional Learning and Certification, the newly married Kate McCrae Francis, our Professional Learning Manager. Congratulations again, Kate. Michael Pereira, our Instructional Design and Development Manager, Deanna Hughes, our Certification Coordinator, Erin Welchel, our Outreach Manager, who also manages the Legal Languages campaign, our new Director of Marketing and Membership, Joe Bellina, who's here, Amanda Kwok, our membership assistant, Amber Warren, quality assurance and certification manager, and last but not least, Paul Sandrock, our senior advisor for language learning initiatives. And again, this is just a segment of our great staff, and just wanted to recognize them and thank them for being here and thank them for all the work they do.
And I want to thank them for being here on, like all the rest of you, a Wednesday night in the middle of October. And I know that is everyone's busy at all times of year, and they're busy every day, just like all of us. So I really appreciate them being here. So let's hear a little bit from you. Why did you come to tonight's town hall on the professional development pillar of our strategic plan in particular? What about this topic interested you? So please go ahead. On the top here, you can see if you go to pollev.com and put in Jessica H 821, you can get to our spot where you can put in your answer. So hopefully the responses are showing up here. If you put in a response and it's not showing, oh, here we go. Good. Okay, it's working. I love it when technology actually works. To hear that kinds of PD teachers need now. Passionate about PD and especially mentoring. Curious to know what PD needs folks have. Love PD. Me too. And I want to help my colleagues learn. PD is the most important mission of a teachers association. I agree. Learn more about ways to support. Often provide PD, looking for ideas. I would have come to all of them. Thank you for saying so. They are all available at the town hall page of our website if you want to watch them. Because the field needs ACTFL to rethink professional learning for the next generation. The best professional development I've had is ACTFL OPI training. I concur with that. I just did the OPI training about 4 years ago, and it was absolutely fantastic. It changed the way I think about proficiency, even though I had been thinking about proficiency for years. Provide more affordable PD to all teachers across languages, rural, urban, affordable, meeting the diverse needs. That's absolutely something we want to discuss. All right, and if you are on the poll everywhere, you can continue to scroll through and see things that people wrote. PD is important for high quality, and we are able to save these as well for when we collate this information for our board and some reporting that we're going to do. We're going to grab program, hyper aware. Boy, these are just terrific. And it sounds like we have a very engaged group tonight. So I'm going to go on to the next slide so that we can get to our breakout rooms as soon as possible, because that's where you can really start to give us your specific suggestions. So for those of you who've been at these town halls before, I apologize. A couple of these slides are exactly the same, but we'll move on quickly. For those of you who this is your first time, just to review the purpose of these town halls, it's really to build community and collaborative relationships between ACTFL members and non-members. As you know, non-members as well were invited to attend these town halls. We want to involve all of you, members and non-members, in reflecting on the pillars of our strategic plan. Maybe some of you have done some of this work in your own schools and universities where you have a strategic plan and then you reflect on how you're doing against that plan. We want to highlight some of the initiatives that we're already doing at ACTFL, but we also want to answer questions that you might have about what ACTFL does and collect information that will inform the board and the staff about next steps, because of course we are always reflecting and always trying to improve, and this is exactly the information and the think tank of people that we need to do it. So thank you all for being here tonight. I can tell you're going to give us a lot of great ideas. If you haven't seen it yet, the handout is here on the bottom here, tinyurl.com/ACTFL PD Town Hall. All right. So these are the 5 pillars of our strategic plan. As I said, this is actually our final pillar that we're going to discuss in this year's town halls. I believe Victoria has some plans for next year that she'll talk to you about soon. But we've already had town halls on the other pillars. And of course, just because these are pillars of our town halls, it does not mean that they stand alone or that we think about only one at a time. we think about all of them at all times. So when we're talking about professional development, we're still thinking about equity, diversity, and inclusion, like someone mentioned on the previous slide. If we're talking about professional development, we're still thinking about how does that collate with or align with teacher recruitment and retention. For example, this year we had a learning series specifically for new teachers. When we're talking about professional development, we think about research, the research behind it. And of course, you're familiar, I'm sure, with many of the publications that ACTFL has put out, such as the core practices books and others, and the keys books. Outreach and advocacy is also a part of professional development. So we could have made this a circle, but we also wanted to represent it as pillars, because these are the pillars that hold up your organization, which is ACTFL. So professional development is what we're talking about tonight. And I want to start by just reminding us all, and you may know it, but this is ACTFL's mission statement: providing vision, leadership, and support for quality teaching and learning of languages. And the professional development pillar has this sort of vision statement underneath it, if you will. ACTFL's professional learning opportunities are highly valued and accessible to all language educators. So I'm just going to take a quick pause and add a few comments of my own about the professional development pillar. Like many of you said, which is funny on the previous slides, this is really close to my heart, because as a supervisor, I spend a lot of time doing professional development for teachers. And one thing I was thinking about as we were preparing for this is, I find that over the years, there are a few things that make a teacher a natural teacher. Only a few. A little bit about how you carry yourself in a classroom, a little bit about how you interact with students. Primarily, you just have to love the students. And I'm to the point where I think when I do interviews, I'm just going to ask, do you love kids? And tell me about how you love kids. And if someone who's walking into a K through 12 classroom in my district loves kids, I think with professional development, we can provide them with the tools to do almost all the rest. And that's why professional development is so important, because every teacher from day 0 to year 35 and on learns new things. And that's why it's essential that we have high quality professional development that really represents the research in the field, the best of the field, and what's going to result in the best for our students, which is the quality learning of languages, the quality teaching and learning of languages. So I agree. I think this is one of ACTFL's biggest roles to play. And I also think it's one that in my career, ACTFL has been my main source of professional development over the years, in addition to, of course, my regional NECTFL and my Connecticut conferences. So that's Jessica's little 2-second speech. It's my last one I get to give. So I thank you for listening. So tonight, our guiding questions for the town hall are: what is ACTFL already working on? What are your ideas and suggestions? So as you listen, I need you to be jotting those down, because when we go into breakout rooms, you're going to discuss your ideas and suggestions and get those on paper for us, if you will. And what are your questions? And we'll be available to answer some of those questions tonight as well. So underneath our professional development strategic plan pillar, we also have 4 sort of sub-objectives or sub bullet points here. One is to increase the perceived value of ACTFL's current professional learning opportunities. One is to expand accessibility to ACTFL's professional learning opportunities. One is to explore new and innovative professional learning opportunities. And one is to support the development of exemplary language programs through professional learning. So you might have suggestions for the wording of these, or whether these are exhaustive. And actually, interestingly, that's something that the board is going to work on in our next meeting, which is actually just about a week and a half from now. So anything, if you have ideas around that, we're happy to hear it. But for tonight, we're going to organize our talk actually in reverse order. So I decided to number these, if you'll humor me, 1 to 4. And then it just works better for us to think about them tonight in terms of our talking with you. We're going to start with 4 and work our way backwards. So we're going to start with supporting the development of exemplary language programs through professional opportunities. And I think that this really starts, and for me, I know in my career, this really starts with the fact that ACTFL is our source and the nation's source of foundational documents. The fact that we have the World Readiness Standards, the proficiency guidelines, of course, the can-do statements, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with these, but the guiding principles, which are actually a really excellent resource for us as those of us who are working with professional development of teachers. These documents are where we can start our work on the development of exemplary language programs. They begin to define what exemplary language learning is, what the language learning progressions are, what language learning curriculum can look like, and what excellence in language learning instruction looks like. So that's our first step. And next, Pam Benton, one of our ACTFL board members, is going to talk to you about how the position statements help the development of exemplary language programs. Hi, Pam.
Hi. So the position statements are available on the ACTFL website. If you actually just Google ACTFL position statements, it'll pop right up. And the position statements help to provide a framework so that as we're out doing advocacy work in our locals and our states, we can quote these position statements and we can use them to help inform people who very often are sadly misinformed or uninformed about our issues. So the position statements are really important, and ACTFL issues these whenever something comes up that is of import to the world language community.
Thank you. And now we are extremely lucky to have Leslie Gran as the chair of the Professional Learning Committee. Can you think of anyone better, really, to chair our Professional Learning Committee? And she's going to talk to you about what they've been working on.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. It's been my pleasure to be the Professional Learning Committee, the ACTFL PLC, we call it, committee chair for the last 2 years. And I thought it might be interesting to you that most of the standing committees have an actual charge. So when you become a member of a committee, you find out like, well, what does ACTFL say they would like this committee to work on? So you'll see our charge there at the top, which I'm not going to read every word to you. I think the key pieces of the charge are at the end, where it talks about improving skills of language educators through collaboration, knowledge exchange, and discourse. And then we actually have a list of responsibilities, which you'll see there in the bullet points. So providing guidance and input on the content and structures of the professional learning that ACTFL is developing, identify avenues and arenas for collaboration, support advocacy through helping to shape the ACTFL position statements and the Teacher of the Year program, monitoring and addressing issues related to ACTFL publications, and addressing issues related to teacher development. So specifically under my tenure, and actually I picked up the reins after Jill Warner had done much of this work, some of the committee's recent work that we've been doing have been the work on the employability skills infographic that you may or may not know is one of the newer resources on the ACTFL website that helps to align 21st century skills, and actually it's aligned with the career and technical education framework. You might be familiar with the CTE framework, showing students, counselors, parents, how learning languages very much aligns to that framework. We also have been involved in updating ACTFL position statements, the most recent of which has been the statement on class size as a factor influencing language learning. And a work in progress right now is a work on designing a program recognition guide. So you may know that some of our local associations, our state associations, some of them have recognition programs where they recognize exemplary programs within their state. And so it has been our committee's charge to develop a guidance document to help any groups who would like to develop such a program for themselves, whether that be other state organizations or states, boards of ed, people like that. And so we're trying to put together the guidance for them on how to put that together. The next slide is just a beautiful screenshot of many of my professional learning committee members. If you do not know how to become a committee member, it's important that you know that you can go onto the ACTFL website and click on volunteer and let them know as you're filling out your information that you would be interested in volunteering for a committee. And then here's all the information about the folks that are on my committee. And I want to send out a huge thank you to my committee. They're such a hardworking group of folks and really dedicated language educators. And so if that's something that interests you, I encourage you to check that out as well.
Thank you so much, Leslie. We are thrilled that there is such a diversity of languages and expertise and representation from various regions on that committee. And you guys have just done a terrific job. Now let's talk a little bit about how ACTFL program reviews contribute to promotion of exemplary language programs. And forgive me, I can't remember who's
Thanks, Jessica. It's me. It's Paul Sandrock. No worries.
It's Paul Sandrock. Oh my
No worries. Still supporting that professional development. that professional development goal number 4, as you said, support of developing exemplary language programs. So it is a service that ACTFL has provided to schools, to districts, mainly K-12, a few post-secondary departments, where it is to provide a mirror on a program to make sure that everything is following the same coordinated path towards developing learners' proficiency. The curriculum, of course, captures the goals and outcomes, the why of a program. The instruction needs to follow and be in sync so that the instructional strategies are supporting those goals and outcomes. That's the how of the program. And then, of course, the assessment. It needs to provide real evidence of achieving those program goals. It is the what especially what is the most motivating evidence for students should be what is captured in that assessment, perhaps leading to a seal of biliteracy as well. And it is aligning all of the aspects of that program, providing a mirror on that the program, is it achieving its goals? And it will be connecting with what the PLC is developing, what Leslie just mentioned, to coordinate, to provide a rubric for schools eventually to conduct their own analysis and deep look within their program. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Paul. And now let's hear a little bit about the ACTFL-CAEP standards, which all of you might, if you're K through 12, you may or may not be familiar with these, but I'm sure our higher ed folks are very familiar with them. And I believe that Teresa Bell is here this evening. Thank you so much, Teresa, to just say a few words about this.
I'm happy to be here. The purpose of the ACTFL-CAEP standards are to prepare future teachers who are ready to implement standards-based, proficiency-focused language learning. ACTFL is a designated organization to develop the national standards for reviewing language teacher preparation programs, and they are all based on ACTFL's foundational documents. ACTFL prepares post-secondary faculty who provide program documentation and train those who review program reports. And you can see on the right a little screenshot of what the cover page looks like right now of the program standards. And we are currently working on a refreshed version of those to come out next year.
Thank you so much. And so we included that in this section because, of course, the teacher preparation is a key component of developing exemplary language programs. Thank you so much for that. So now we're going to move backwards up the list, if you will, to explore new and innovative professional learning opportunities. So let's think a little bit about what ACTFL has been doing in that area. And one of the things I'm really excited about is Educators Rising. And Kate, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jessica. Hi, everybody. I'm Kate McRae-Francis, ACTFL's Professional Learning Manager, and I'm really excited to talk about one of our initiatives, which is ACTFL's Educators Rising. And this was designed for teachers to help students explore language teaching as a career. Currently, we have 10 ready-to-use modules on our learning management system that are free for any educator to download. Each module includes a PowerPoint presentation, a guide to help educators facilitate discussion, and a worksheet for students to record their thoughts and reflections. And we are excited to announce that not only do we have an English version of these modules, but we have just released a Spanish version. And in 2022, a French and Arabic version will also be launched. So that these modules can be infused into class time in the target language. And so we hope that these modules will be able to help spark that interest in language teaching for your students and play a part in expanding the teacher recruitment pipeline. And if you're interested in exploring the modules, you'll see the link to access them in our session handout.
And you know, what's funny is it not only is this professional learning for potential teachers, but as we all know, whenever you try to present about something that you do as you teach or teach someone else how to teach, you know, if you have a student teacher or whatever, you become a better teacher. So I'm looking forward to this, as I think it's another way for those of us who enjoy thinking about teaching to develop ourselves as we try to train the next generation of young up and coming teachers. So it's just a wonderful program. Thank you, Kate. And did you want to talk a little bit about our learning series also?
Yes, absolutely. So another of our professional development offerings is the learning series. We've held a virtual learning series over the summer, the last 2 years, with great success and engagement. In summer 2021, we offered 3 topics, 2 over 3 days and 1 over 6 days, scheduled so that any participant could attend 1, 2, or all 3 topics if they wished. And we were really thrilled to see such high participation in all topics, incorporating social justice, designing effective assessments, and preparation for new teachers. So each of our learning series includes live virtual sessions with our exceptional ACTFL facilitators and the opportunity to learn, explore, and apply with your colleagues across the country and even the whole world. We've received amazing feedback from participants over the last 2 years, and we're using that to shape our professional development offerings, where we'll be expanding upon and targeting new topics in the future. So we hope you'll join us next time so we can all keep learning together. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. And one of the things I really enjoyed about that is correct me if I'm wrong, but they were fairly affordable. And I do think that's one of the reasons we have so many participants as well. And that even though that we're not in the increased accessibility section of our of tonight, and that's another example of how we often do try to think about that as we're planning things. So, and I know I want to give a quick shout out to Leah Grenier Kennedy, who I know is here tonight, and she had quite a bit to do with the planning of those as well. I know. And Michael Pereira is here, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about a new learning platform that ACTFL.
Yes, thank you, Jessica. Good evening, everyone. Just following up our, exploring new innovative professional learning opportunities. I'm very, very excited to officially announce that we're going to be launching our new learning platform that is going to be definitely more engaging and user-friendly and consider definitely that accessible aspect that we're definitely looking for, improving mostly your experience in your learning process. So our goal is definitely going to be to, launch our platform early in 2022. And with that, we're going to be revamping most of our professional courses, as well as launching new courses and opportunities within the platform. We're also going to be making available today a link so we can gather a survey link, so you can gather some of your thoughts, comments, what topics of you're interested, so we can kind of explore and learn more about your experience, so we can improve our learning programs.
That's just great. And I'm seeing a lot of people excited about that in the chat. That's wonderful. And speaking of platforms, we've learned a lot about that word over the last couple of years, right, Julia? And I know Bridget is here, the last year's president, who had to learn about virtual platforms very quickly as well. And our lovely Julia Richardson is here, and as you know, she's all things convention for us. And she knows more about virtual platforms than she ever thought she would. But I'm very excited about the updates this year, Julia.
Thank you, Jessica. And hello, everybody. We're very excited about the convention this year, even though it is virtual. The platform has sort of been redesigned a bit based on feedback that we got from attendees last year. So we're doing some things that are a little bit different. This year, we're having a wellness studio with different sorts of mindfulness, yoga, Zumba, things that are just helping people stay well. We're having an ACTFL Central virtual booth this year, and we're having ACTFL showcases within that, focusing on the products and services that ACTFL has to offer. The networking part of the platform has been redesigned so people can actually network with their colleagues and friends and exhibitors by video. So that's different from how it was last year. This year, we're adding a question and answer feature to our SimulLive sessions. So it's not just about chat. You can actually ask questions of the presenters while the videos are being shown. And this year, we are able to review the agenda and build your schedule within the platform. And that's different from how it was before. And the good thing about it is this year we're making the presentations available until February 28th, 2022. So I think that everybody's going to find that it's going to be a wonderful experience this year, and a lot of new ways to network and interact with attendees.
And that really does fall under this, explore new and innovative professional learning opportunities. And I know that we've already started talking about how much we've learned in terms of accessibility and things like that when we do have a virtual option for people, and how there were many people who could attend who hadn't been able to attend in the past. So we're excited about all the innovation capability there. And did you want to just talk about the convention committee for a second?
Oh, I want to give a shout out to these guys. They're wonderful. We've had a great year. LJ Randolph is our chair. He's done a great job. And of course, Lisa Podbilski is the past chair. Jill Warner, Catherine, I think, is on the call tonight. Ronit, Maria, Eugenia, and of course, Jessica and Victoria sit on as just ex officios. But it's been a great experience. Everybody's participated. We pretty much have a conference call or Zoom call now, maybe every couple of months. To talk about things, and one of the things that they've been doing over the last few months is getting ready to for us to open the call for proposals for 2022. So that's going to be kind of an exciting adventure this next year, because we're going to be doing a hybrid convention. So there will be opportunities for people to submit to do virtual as well as in person.
Wow, that is exciting. And it all moves so quickly. If you're not aware, as you can hear, even though Julie has been going crazy these few weeks trying to get this convention, finalized, they're already having to plan for next year. So it really is a constant movement there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So backwards now we're up to number 2. We're working our way to 1. Now we're to expand accessibility to ACTFL's professional learning opportunities. So let's take a few minutes to think about the work we're doing there. But please remember, if you think of ideas as we go, mark them down so that we can make sure we collect those when we're in breakout rooms. So one of our board members, Maria Cristina Ladas, is here. I believe she's joining us on the phone from Mexico. We're a little bit jealous. And she's going to talk to us about how we've tried to expand accessibility with the stipend award program.
Thank you, Jessica. Gracias. So yes, I'm sure everybody on this call vividly remembers their very first ACTFL convention. And it's a very special memory for many of us. So we want to spread that love. And there is, just a reminder, a first-time attendee stipend award program for those who've never attended an ACTFL convention, so we can help create those memories in new people, as you can see here. So they have to be within their first 3 years of their teaching career, and it's specifically for individuals who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. And so while it's already done for this year, please keep this in mind for future conventions, because it's a great way to help new people make those same great memories that we all have. Thank you.
And Howie, correct me if I'm wrong, or Julia, but I believe it's an or, right? This or this or this. So you don't, it doesn't have to, if you're, if you identify as Black, Indigenous, or people or a person of color, you don't have to be a first-time attendee.
Correct.
That,
it's
right?
Yeah, it's first. Yeah,
right.
That's correct.
And we do hope to expand those offerings in the future, I believe. We've had lots of conversations about that. Another thing that we were excited to be able to add this year was a presenter rate. I know many of you have discussed that in the past, and we really felt that it was important to at least reduce the rate as much as possible for our presenters. As you know, these conventions, I've learned in my 2 years here on the board, they cost quite a bit of money to put on. So we can't offer them completely for free, but we really do want to try to thank our presenters by having a presenter rate, and we want to encourage new teachers and student teachers by having a student rate. So those are things that were added this year. And our new director of professional learning and certification is Celia Zamora, and she is here this evening, and she's going to talk to you about outreach.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Good evening, everyone. So ensuring all language instructors have access to affordable and relevant professional development is of the utmost importance to us. As such, we have been developing various new virtual learning modules for less commonly taught languages, as well as heritage language learners and teachers. Additionally, we continue to provide outreach and support for new existing teachers of less commonly taught languages, heritage languages, and community schools with programs such as StarTalk and our oral proficiency interview certifications. Additionally, we are in the development of more workshops targeting these teachers and languages to include things such as differentiated instruction, using authentic materials in the classroom, the can-do statement, and so forth. And we are ecstatic to announce that we have a great project working where we are recording real teachers across the nation, across proficiency levels, grades, and languages that represent the high leverage teaching practices. And we hope to make that available on our website by next year. And of course, a huge shout out to Leah Greener Kennedy for assisting us with this great project. We are always really interested in hearing what you need from us and what professional development opportunities you would like for us to offer. So please definitely meet us in the breakout rooms and put it in the chat if there's any ideas that you have or anything that you would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, there's an advocacy piece to being able to expand accessibility to professional learning. Howie, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so obviously advocacy is really important in this area. It's one of the ways that we expand that accessibility, particularly on the federal level. We do this in a number of ways. We do it as a part of important coalition work. I'd say most notably with JNCL, but we also do it with groups like the Coalition for Teaching Quality, for instance, that represents the interests of educators across multiple disciplines. And it's really a great way for us to collaborate with those other groups. There have been several initiatives to push for more funding for high quality professional learning for language educators, including teacher prep and certification, as well as to make sure that teachers have access to leadership training opportunities, which I think are really essential. For instance, the American Families Plan that the Biden administration came out with allocates about $1.6 billion towards certifications in high demand areas, including those that language educators teach in. We've also pushed for an increase in funding for Teacher Quality Partnership Program, which supports teacher prep programs and can also be used for grow your own programs, which are really important. Of course, we want to ensure that we're not only preparing for well-prepared, but also diverse teacher workforce. So programs like you see here, the August F. Hawkins Centers for Excellence are really essential to support teacher prep at our HBCUs, our TCUs, and our MSIs. And these are programs that, while they were authorized nearly 15 years ago, if you can believe it, they've never been funded. And so this is something that we've really been pushing for years and years. So just some of the areas that we're pushing for advocacy-wise that help expand accessibility to professional learning opportunities. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you, Howie. And I noticed that Becky Fox, another one of our board members, noted in the chat that when we do our visits to the Hill and do our language advocacy days, that is actually a form of professional development for all of us. And I would agree. Absolutely. I feel like those visits have made me a better advocate when I'm back in my home city district doing advocacy work. Great point. And we have counted down to number 1, which is the increasing the perceived value of ACTFL's current professional learning opportunities. So let's think a little bit about what that means to us. Howie, did you want to talk a little bit more about the ACTFL community?
Yeah, I think this is a place that I would encourage everyone to check out. ACTFL Central, which is our online community. I think it's been really an invaluable resource, especially during the pandemic for educators. I think a lot of people don't realize, while some parts of the community are behind the member wall, specifically for folks that are members of SIGs, those communities, you have to be a member of a SIG. You don't have to be a member to participate. There's a very robust area where you don't have to be a member to participate. And in fact, thousands of educators interact every year to interact, to share classroom strategies, resources, and I think really to provide critically important sort of peer support, right? So I almost look at it as a PLC of its own. It's like a professional learning community. So I really encourage people to take advantage of it. It's a wonderful resource. I don't know that everyone necessarily knows about it, so definitely check it out.
For us old folks, it's kind of like what we used to call listservs in a sense,
yeah,
right?
Right.
Where you used to, just talk to your crowd. Thank you. And later at the end tonight, I'll tell you about a community that we'll have as a follow-up to this town hall if you have any further things you want to share. And that will be open to everyone, not behind any kind of wall. But Howie just mentioned the SIGs, our special interest groups, and this is certainly something that adds value for a mere $5 a SIG. You get quite a bit out of that. And Jason Martell from Middlebury College is going to talk to us a little bit about what he's enjoyed in the SIGs and what the SIGs bring to your ACTFL membership.
Thanks, Jessica. It's really nice to see everybody and to talk here today. So yeah, I just want to emphasize that the SIGs bring so much value to my work as a language teacher educator and language teacher. So ever since I started working at Middlebury, I've been working in the SIGs, and the research SIG as secretary, then in the teacher development SIG as secretary, and then as chair of the teacher development SIG. And I'd just like to highlight 3 main things that I've taken from my work in the SIGs. One is this community of practice. There's so many engaged people on the SIG community to talk to and to throw questions out to. So for instance, I've recently thrown out questions about doing high leverage teaching practices in a virtual environment, gotten really great dialogue about that. Also, we have amazing webinars too that we do in the SIG. So I've learned quite a bit through those webinars. And then also I'll highlight the networking. I've met some really fantastic people in my work with the SIGs, people I've gotten to collaborate with, do research projects with, and have learned a tremendous amount from. So I'll just say again, there's so much value in the SIGs, and I highly recommend that you join one or many of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. And Victoria Russell, your incoming president of ACTFL, is going to talk to you about the mentoring program, something that she knows quite a bit about, and I know she's very passionate about. Hi, Victoria.
Thanks so much, Jessica. I love talking about our mentoring program, but I first want to remind everybody is something that our wonderful chair of the Professional Learning Committee, Leslie Gran, always says, and now I'm duplicating, that when people engage in mentoring, it really has a direct impact on teacher retention, because when new teachers are mentored, they're more likely to stay in the profession. And when seasoned teachers have the opportunity to lead and mentor others, they are also more likely to remain in the profession. So I want to encourage everyone to consider participating. The mentoring program is designed to help early career language educators succeed in their current assignments and learn the skills to be successful long-term in their careers. Mentors and mentees will be matched by language, level, interest, and location as best as possible. 3 mentor programs are available. The traditional program is for in-person educators. The distance language educator program is for those who teach online. And there's a new hybrid program for those currently teaching both in person and remotely. To be considered as a mentee for the traditional mentoring program, you must be a new teacher within your first 5 years of teaching. However, if you don't fall within that stated requirement, you can include an explanation of your specific circumstance on your application. To be considered as a mentor, you must have 5 or more years of teaching experience. To be considered as a mentee for the distance or hybrid learning mentoring program, you must be within your first 3 years of online or hybrid teaching. Applicants may have, of course, many more years of experience teaching in the traditional brick and mortar classroom, but we know, everyone that taught online during the pandemic, that teaching online is extremely different. You can still qualify as a mentee if you've been teaching even 20 years, but you're new to online. To be considered as a mentor, however, you must have 3 years of online or hybrid teaching experience. That's all I have for you right now. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Victoria. That is a super exciting program. And like you said, mentoring also improves, like we were saying before, once you teach it to someone else, it improves you as a teacher. So I love that. And now let's think a little bit about our publications and how they add value to and how they professionally develop you and how they add value to your professional learning. And forgive me, I think this is
It's me.
or Gautami. I can't remember which.
No worries, it's me, Gautami.
It's Gautami Shah. Thank you.
No worries. I'm just so happy that I have this chance to talk about one of the perks I love the most of my ACTFL membership. That's the publications. The ACTFL publications are included with the membership, and that's great because they provide access to the latest research, to best practices, technology information, news and updates. So if you really want to be up to date with anything cutting edge in our field of language teaching and learning, this is one of the advantages of the ACTFL membership that I believe cannot be overstated. So that's something very close to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. And Gautami is on our professional learning committee, and so is Herman Suarez, who's going to talk to us about the other free webinars and resources that ACTFL provides.
Thank you, Jessica. Hello, everyone. And yes, definitely, ACTFL tries to be responsive to provide free resources to everyone. Some of those resources include the list of remote learning resources, which were really useful for us and all the teachers during the pandemic. Some of the resources address issues with race, diversity, social justice. And ACTFL also has a YouTube channel with a number of free resources. And same with publications, you can access those resources on the website under the resources and publications. And also you can find the links under the link that we have for all the resources today. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Yes, everything that you've been seeing up to now, including everything on this page, is on your handout. And I'll show the link to the handout again in a little bit if you were late joining us. So now it's time for us to hear from you. And the way we like to structure this is we are going to send you into breakout rooms to discuss and take some notes together to kind of get your brain flowing and be able to meet some of your colleagues who are on the call this evening. And then we'll come back afterward and discuss some more. So our guiding question for these breakout rooms is just what more can ACTFL do to enhance our professional development work? And so these directions are also on your handout, but when you arrive in your breakout room, please introduce yourselves. Please choose someone to take notes. It only needs to be one person. The note taker will open the Google Slides note-taking document. It's linked right on your handout, and we can also broadcast it if you like. And please just go to the number of slide. They all look the same, so just go to the one that's the number of your breakout room. So when you get sent to the breakout room, pay attention to what number breakout room you're in, and that'll be the slide that you'll use in the note-taking document. You'll discuss the guiding question, what more can ACTFL do to enhance all professional development work? And then we'll be in there for at least 10, 12 minutes, probably 12 minutes. And so toward the end, we will broadcast out. And when we do, and there's 3 minutes left, please decide your most pressing question or most cherished suggestion. Because when we come back, we're going to ask you to type that in to Poll Everywhere so we can discuss whole group when we get back. So you might want to make sure there's somebody in your group who still has Poll Everywhere open or who doesn't mind reopening it on their phone. So Jamie, I'm going to ask you, I think we're going to do 10 rooms so that we have about, or maybe even, you know what, let's do 9 rooms if you haven't done it already. And everybody just go ahead and click join room when it pops up for you. Well, welcome back, everyone. I love it. Zoom, it's the best, right? If only in our classrooms we could just click a button and all the kids would be forced to pay attention to us. Wouldn't that be quite an invention? So I hope it sounded to me like we had some really cool conversations going on in those breakout rooms, and I see that you're taking a lot of notes. And I want you to know that when this session ends, we go through all those notes very carefully and collate them into a form that we can share with the board. And that we're going to be sharing with the staff and just have for the archives for the future decision making at ACTFL. So please, please let us know what more can ACTFL do to enhance our professional development work. And I want to tell you how this particular Poll Everywhere works. If you're on it and you're scrolling through what other people say, you can upvote or downvote. So you could click on ones that you think are really interesting. You see how this one now has 1 vote next to it. And so you can, if you vote, things that get voted up are the things that we'll address first, kind of like we're having a real town hall here, like the candidates do. So it looks like there's a lot of interest in having conversations about more professional learning for higher ed. Does anyone on the staff want to talk about that? That's a great suggestion.
I'm wondering if it will go. Sally, go ahead. I was just curious if maybe we could get a little, maybe from one of the people who suggested this, if they wanted to maybe clarify exactly what they're looking for.
Oh, sure.
Anybody want to unmute? This is normal Zooms. You can go ahead and unmute.
Yeah,
and
please.
Talk a little bit about it. About your ideas.
Isabel, I have something. I have colleagues who recently, just this week said, I asked if they were attending ACTFL and they said, no, it's mostly for K through 12. There's not really anything for us there. And I'm like, okay, we've talked about this before, but I don't know if there's something we could do to make it a little more in their faces that it really is for them.
Sure, we currently are working on developing a set of webinars and of PD that actually attempts to bridge that gap between kind of like everyone's notion of ACTFL just being K through 12 and what we actually do offer, because we offer a lot of current PD of proficiency and performance and so forth for secondary. But we are working on really kind of getting that voice out there and really bringing out materials and resources that would definitely be geared particularly more for that higher ed and even just program retention, engagement in the classroom and registration and so forth. So we are working on that.
May I say something very quickly? I am Claudia Fernandez, and I in my group I said I propose to have more PD for higher education. So, for example, the videos that you said that you were going to do for high level teaching practices, it would be great if we had some videos with the higher ed, with the TAs doing things, or lecturers doing, or even professors, teaching great classes for people that are at the university level. That would be fantastic.